Our next question is, how long does it take to sell a law practice? In our experience, what we're finding in the marketplace is that it takes anywhere from 3 to 9 months, sometimes even over a year, to sell a law practice. What we're also finding is that it typically takes 6 meetings to sell a law practice. So let's just go back to what we said before, right? That is 3 to 9 months and sometimes longer. Why? In large part because now that we're in what we call law firm sales 1.0, these are not turnkey type sales, right? You're not selling a franchise. This isn't a Dunkin franchise. This isn't a Subway franchise. This is a professional services business that senior attorneys have developed over the course of many years. And they have a lot of different intricacies about the practice areas, the lawyers that practice with them, the clients that are the clients of a senior attorney-led firm. So when it comes to those 6 meetings, and we'll get a sense of the timing involved, those 6 meetings include a meet and greet. That is, you're meeting a potential buyer. Setting that up takes time. Then you meet and greet and find out, okay, could we match up not only on paper that the practice areas match up, can we match up culturally? And that meet and greet is a very important first meeting for people to determine, could we actually work with these people? And I'll just make a side note about puppy love, because a lot of potential sellers and buyers sort of like dating. When you think that this person is the right person, we just caution people, when you go into that meet and greet, go in there with eyes wide open. It's easy to fall for puppy love, and we're always explaining to our clients that in the meet and greet meeting, it's really important to really get a sense, could we work with these people? The next meeting or course of meetings really is due diligence, right? That is, we are exchanging P&Ls. We are learning more about the practice areas, about the staff people, about whether these practices, do they really mesh up? That is the senior attorney-led firm, the seller, and the buyer, right? That is, we're finding out a lot more, call it under the hood, during due diligence. That then leads to a third meeting, really a sequence of meetings as well, which is negotiating a letter of intent. These are the terms that the parties are starting to negotiate in terms of what will be paid for the value of the practice, which employees are going to stay on, what are we going to do about the commercial lease, what are we going to do about this, what are we going to do about that. Negotiating that letter of intent can take weeks, can sometimes take well over a month. And actually, it's that third meeting we find is often a make or break. Okay, because when you actually start rolling up sleeves and determining about what deal terms are, and what they would be, and what they should be, and what they can be, is when parties will typically say, you know what, it was great getting to know you, and this is not the right, let's call it, cup of tea for either or both sides. If you do wind up negotiating the letter of intent, sign off on it, that next meeting is the signing of the letter of intent, and that's really like we're almost there, right? Because most of the terms of the deal are set forth in the letter of intent. That next meeting, which we've gone over so far 4 of them, the 5th one is negotiating the actual agreement. That's adding a lot of boilerplate, because we're really having taken the substantive terms from the letter of intent, adding boilerplate terms, and really also identifying and dealing with terms that we may have put off in the letter of intent and said, okay, we're going to deal with this at the what we're typically calling the definitive agreement stage. And then finally, it's the signing of the agreement. It takes 3 to 9 months because sometimes, and I can't necessarily say often, but usually your first firm that you're going to be negotiating with is not going to be the firm you're going to be doing a deal with. So you can go through meetings 1 through 3, meet and greet, due diligence, negotiate the letter of intent, fall apart at negotiating the letter of intent, and then have to start all over again. And that's why the process can take that number of months. And it's also important in terms of the time frame to recognize that in addition to negotiating the terms with potential buyers, is what you need to do in advance of even selling the firm. Okay, because in advance of selling a law firm, it's important to make multiple updates and to collect the due diligence internally. And just three particular items that we recommend for senior attorney led firms to organize before they even start meeting with potential growing firms, buyer firms, is to know your revenues, know what the revenues are by practice area, typically for your last 3 years. Updating your client list, knowing the addresses, the phone numbers, cell phone numbers, email addresses of your clients, connecting with as many clients as you can on LinkedIn, and also updating your website. Very important, can be time consuming, but it's super important because potential buyers are going to look at your website and they're also going to look at your LinkedIn profile. So, very important to update the website and update your LinkedIn profile even before you start that process of starting to meet potential buyers, growing firms, and starting that 6 meeting process to go from putting your practice, let's call it like up for sale, putting it on the market, to actually joining, selling to a growing law firm.